The following transmission is between myself and both the former and current developers of Fallout Coos Bay, Ropie, and HippieHolocaust. Fallout Coos Bay will see Fallout 4 players embarking on a brand new adventure with a brand new character in the small town of Coos Bay, Oregon, currently headed by HippieHolocaust. The former dev lead on the project, Ropie, left late last year when he received a job opportunity from Bethesda themselves, an opportunity he would not pass over, leaving Coos Bay in Hippie's very capable hands. Both Hippie and Ropie have been involved in modding for Fallout 4 for years at this point, not long after the game was released. Together, over the years, they have worked side by side and have been involved in many other ambitious projects, such as Fallout Miami and Fallout London. They have both been incredible champions in the modding community, Ropie specifically stating that he's been modding so much and for so long that he can't even remember his own name.
It's Ropie.
Okay.
I don't even remember what my real name is anymore.
Yeah,
Actually, is it okay if I say that in the interview?
Your real name?
Yeah. I don't remember what my real name is.
Over the course of this interview, we talk about the Coos Bay mod project, the modding community as a whole, and how advancing technology such as AI will impact the way in which mods are not only built, but designed. This is the Atomcast, and the best way to show your support is by subscribing to our Patreon, as your monthly contribution will go towards improving the quality of transmission, as well as helping to decrease the time between uploads. As always, links to our Patreon, as well as guest socials, will be linked in the description below. Without further ado, the Coos Bay craftsmen themselves, Ropie and HippieHolocaust. So when's Starfield coming out?
You know I can't answer.
Okay, well, so to just shotgun.
Wait, no, we have announced the date, haven't we?
Oh yeah, we have. I got you. Play it off like you know what you're talking about, Toshi.
Yeah, no, StarCraft. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a long history in modding in general. For the audience, why don't you feel free to talk about that. Give us your life story in X number of minutes.
Oh God. Okay, so by X number of minutes, am I tied down to like 30 or do I get the full hour?
You're wasting those minutes, my guy.
Oh, no. It all started back in high school.
But yeah, just like not.
I was doing 3D modeling. You don't want me to start back when I was born. Okay.
Yeah, like before that.
Yeah, no. It was something small. Somebody just handed me a copy of Fallout 3 in the GEC, and I went crazy. And after a little while, I got a hold of Fallout 4 and the creation kit. This was back, I think, 2017. I decided it'd be fun to make a couple of buildings from my hometown in the glowing sea. And that went well. That went fantastic. I got carried away and moved it over into a different world space. And that eventually evolved into the first version of Fallout Coos Bay.
Is the glowing sea like where you're located or were located in real life at one point? Like the area where the glowing sea is, if you overlay that on a map, is that where you would have been?
I mean, from the distance of the equator, maybe.
Yeah.
Coos Bay is a little coastal town all the way over in Oregon on the Pacific coast.
Oh no, yeah, I know about Coos Bay, Oregon. But I mean, like, because you said you were building buildings in the glowing sea.
Well, I just figured I'd slap them down anywhere, So I went and grabbed the landscape flattening tool and did a number to the poor glowing sea. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, don't play any of the original versions of Fallout Coos Bay. Your game will be broken.
Yeah,
it's not good.
So that sounds like it's very early on in your career. You started by just making Coos Bay in Fallout 4 and then just putting it in the glowing sea. Where did things go from there?
Oh, well, as I eventually moved them into their own world space, I started throwing in streets, and I got really carried away. I posted some pictures online just to show my friends, but somebody from the public had gotten a hold of it and then shared it to one of those local town Facebook groups. And then I had to explain why I was building a post-apocalyptic version of Coos Bay to a bunch of old people. That was fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun explaining the joke to people on Facebook.
Yeah, they weren't really pleased, but it picked up from there, and the Discord page spawned from that. That's actually where a number of me and other modders hang out almost daily now.
Mm. So what? So you started. Are you originally from Coos Bay?
I would love to think so, but no, I'm actually from Portland, Oregon.
Unfortunate.
I moved to Coos Bay in I think 2001, 2002.
Oh wow, a while ago.
Yeah, just a couple minutes.
Yeah. You you had the good fortune to get out of Portland before things started happening, whereas I moved into Portland as things started happening. I moved into Portland in 2019.
Oh man, my condolences.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that we're probably neighbors. I moved back to Portland 2019 just for work, but that's beside the point. Beside the point.
Well, maybe we crossed paths without even knowing it. So yeah, you started making mods, or no, you started making mods by just creating Coos Bay in Fallout 4 in the glowing sea. And then you got a little bit of notoriety because somebody shared it on Facebook. Where did things go from there? Because, like, I mean, for anybody who knows who you are, and at this point specifically, they should, because I will have given a little blurb at the beginning to explain like who you are. But like, where did things go from there? Because at this point, again, ideally, anybody watching should know that you are currently a dev for Bethesda, but there is obviously there's a path from just casual modder to working for Bethesda. What's the in between there?
Oh, that's a long road, unfortunately.
Oh no.
It worked a lot much like a YouTube channel. You keep cranking away at it. People just keep growing and growing, and I mean, eventually, a guy joined the project called HippieHolocaust. Mm-hmm. We had a good laugh at first, but he eventually started handing us ideas, some really cool concepts, and we brought him on. I say we, it was just me and my friend William. Brought him on as a level designer, and guy is fantastic. Like, Hippie's basically become my co-pilot, or at least I'm his co-pilot, I guess.
Yeah.
For pretty much the rest of the journey, we're still doing it. Yeah, no, his destruction abilities are incredible. He mainly does interiors. I mainly do exteriors. But yeah, the project just kept growing, and eventually we were approached by this really weird nut job by the name of Wakazaki. He's known as like the shaman of modding. He's a good omen and a bad omen. And he brought us over to a project called Fallout Nashville, mm-hmm. now called Music City. If it's still alive, we don't know.
I think it's still alive. I'm in their Discord server, and I think. Oh, actually, let me double check real quick. Music City.
I think I saw you posted in their promotions channel.
I posted again. You said YouTube's a grind, and God, is it a grind?
Oh yes.
Let's see. It looks like their last update was made on January 2nd.
That was a little while ago.
Yeah, Bobby Bear. He says, I'm the new project lead for Music City. And yes, it's back, but this time it's part of Fallout Wasteland, a modding group of Fallout 4, like Skyrim Beyond and Fallout. Basically, Music City is back and ready to get back to work. Feel free to join Fallout Wasteland's server. That's an interesting thought process there. So they mention Skyrim Beyond. As far as I know, Skyrim Beyond is a much, much bigger mod than I think anybody has ever created for Skyrim or Fallout or any other Bethesda game, where they're trying... I think they're trying to recreate the entire continent of Tamriel, like in a mod. Like you can go to different areas.
My God,
if I remember correctly. So it kind of sounds like Music City. I also hope to have Music City or one of their lead devs on as a guest here at some point. So if that does happen in the future, I'm sorry for talking about you in advance like this, talking behind your back.
I don't even know if Rainbow and Bobby Bear are still alive, to be honest with you.
I mean, it says that the last update post from them, from Bobby Bear, was on the 2nd of January, and so far, unless it's in like Showcase or something, there hasn't been any updates yet. But it sounds like it's part of a larger thing, like Skyrim Beyond. So Fallout Wastelands, I think, is going to try to incorporate a lot of other larger mods into like a bigger map project, kind of like Skyrim Beyond, I think. That kind of sounds like
another possibility of what it could be. Sometimes these projects, believe it or not, do get along. No, the bigger ones don't really seem to at times, but a lot of the smaller ones, they try and share resources, like share 3D artists or writers and whatnot.
Right.
So they might have just been like joining a community together. I don't know if you could travel between them, because the issue with these smaller projects is they get this idea in their head. It's big, it's grandiose, it's going to be amazing. And the scope is just really, really, really off.
So I think that's a little bit, because when you describe it like that, it's a little bit worrying, because that's basically what happened to the Frontier. You know,
Yep.
There were a bunch of smaller stories that all decided, like, hey, let's collaborate and put out a big thing. And then I want to preface by saying I'm not saying that Music City or Fallout Wasteland or anything like that is going to turn out like the Frontier. I'm sure it's all going to be spectacular, and I say that as both somebody who is just perpetually optimistic, because not being perpetually optimistic means you're going to be the opposite, and that's just no fun at all.
Oh, my friend.
Yeah.
If you knew.
Oh boy. But so it sounds like I again, I'm not saying that Fallout Wasteland or Fallout Music City or anything is going to turn out like the Frontier, but because of what happened with the Frontier and everything, that probably definitely starts to raise some red flags. But you said you worked on Music City. You and Hippie worked a little bit on Music City, right?
Yeah, we were. I don't want to bash on anybody else that was working on it, but we were pretty much doing the primary of the work. Until that one fatal day, that one beautiful day. I didn't know his name yet. I just knew him as the troll that would hang out in the public chat. Actually, there was two of them. They were both British. They would come in and they're like, hey, are you guys doing this correctly? Or are you doing this? Because if you're not doing it this way, it's probably going to break. And everybody, this little ragtag Nashville team, they're like, oh man, they're just here to be mean and whatnot. And then I'm like, okay, guys, what do we have to lose if we just like listen to them, because they're talking about how to improve the project? We could be doing something wrong here. Let's just talk to them. And we did. Their names were Chainsaw and Prilladog of Fallout London.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was quite the meeting, honest.
Yeah. Is that how you, because for anybody who doesn't know, you also have worked a lot on Project London, or on Fallout London, with Prilladog. Is that
about 2 years of my life?
How long?
That was about 2 years.
2 years. That's a long time for a mod project. Is that how like you and Prilladog first met? And at that point, was Fallout London already something that was in development, or was this like the first initial reaction and then it led into Fallout London?
Fallout London had been around. It had actually been around for quite a while before that. It was run by a guy named Bones, I can't remember. There was two of them. And I think they ended up restarting the project in 2017, 2018. And I came along 2019. But the thing that he offered me was all of these other modders, these actually experienced people that knew what they were doing, and so it was pretty much just this bountiful resource of learning, and that's where I met a lot of my modding friends. In fact, some of them are still my best friends to this day.
In Fallout London?
Yes.
Okay. So is that like the only projects that you've worked on? Has it been London or Music City and then London, or well, Coos Bay, Music City, and then London?
A couple of other smaller ones that I've helped out with. I also used to do a little bit of level design training. Hang on, my cat's destroying something.
That's what they do. They're good at it.
Yeah, he is. I think he's eating a postcard right now.
Ah, fantastic.
Back to it. Hippie and I, we joined London, and we kind of bounced around a little bit. We would help out other people. And it was actually kind of beautiful to see. Because when we first joined London, it was still very much so the black sheep of the larger modding groups, because there was also Miami and Cascadia, and on top of that, there was Capital Wasteland and New Vegas.
All of those are still very much full steam ahead projects, as far as I remember. Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, we all, maybe not all of us, but for a while, Capital Wasteland was looking like it might not actually be a thing because there was some dispute and argument about whether or not they could actually use the voices from Fallout 3 in the mod.
That was fun.
Yeah, gotta love the legal stuff, but it seems like that all kind of shook out in a positive way, and then they released Point Lookout, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I loved it. I can't wait until they release like Mothership Zeta or the Pit, or I was gonna say Operation Anchorage, but that was kind of a little lackluster.
We already got the Frontier, so
yeah, we got it. We got frozen lackluster for days. So yeah, you worked on Music City, you worked on Coos Bay. I was gonna say you're still working on Coos Bay, but you're actually not working on Coos Bay anymore because you went on to Bethesda, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But
yeah, what the heck? I want to keep working on Coos Bay, but now they're making me work on some actual real project. That's lame.
Right? Like, nobody cares about Fallout 5. They want Coos Bay. Let's go.
Elder Scrolls 6 can kiss my butt.
Right.
Actually, I'm really looking forward to that. Like,
which one? Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are. Fallout fans, just because once that's done, then it means a new Fallout game. But then everybody else, just because it's a new Elder Scrolls game. So you also mentioned a modding guru in a sense. What was his name again?
You mean Doc Mobius?
No, you said you were approached by somebody who was like really good at modding.
Well, compared to us at the time, he was much better than us. That was Prill, the project lead for Fallout London.
No, you said something else earlier. You said somebody else's name.
Oh, Chainsaw.
No, it wasn't Chainsaw. It was somebody else.
Oh, the Shaman.
Yeah, that's it. The Shaman.
See, when Wakazaki shows up, he is a bundle of fun. This man makes absolutely zero sense. Mm-hmm. But every time he does show up, new modders seem to creep out of the walls. Like, modding can be kind of dead, and as a matter of fact, it's very hard to find new modders. Mm-hmm. But every time Waki shows up, at least a dozen of them just come out of nowhere.
So who is Wakazaki?
Nobody knows. That's the mystery.
Oh, he rides in on a white stallion, fixes everything, and then leaves just as quickly as he arrives.
I don't think he actually does anything productive.
Yeah.
He's just weird, and he's like the crazy guy you bring to the party because he's good conversation.
Has he been involved in any I mean, obviously he would have to be in. If people know him as the mod Shaman, obviously he would have to be involved with some projects. What projects have you been a part of where he has also been like a major contributing factor?
I don't know if major contributing factor is really good. He gave us something known as the Lova cut, which were essentially just untextured purple assets floating in the sky. Told you, this man is crazy. He has also brought about Fallout Detroit, which has come up a number of times. In fact, I believe that's the one where Wolfie, level design lead from London, comes from. Indianapolis. He comes up with a couple of them. Usually they die, but the modders stick around from time to time, which is the good news.
And what's the bad news?
It gets the public's hope up, because when these projects crop up, somebody's like, hey, I'm going to do Fallout Wisconsin, the entire state of it, and everybody cheers. And then the project dies, and everybody starts to believe these projects are never going to come out. Why are we even getting our hopes up for this? And as you can probably guess, that doesn't really bode too well for the projects that are actually doing well.
Yeah, it makes projects that are still in earnest and chugging along. It makes it seem like, oh, like these aren't ever going in the public eye. It makes it seem like, oh, these aren't ever going to be an actual thing. So why bother?
Exactly.
Now that you mention it, though, I'm no longer interested in Fallout Coos Bay. I am now 10,000% invested in Fallout Wisconsin. Cheese battles. Let's go. So yeah, all that to say is you've been involved with a lot of Fallout projects, Fallout modding projects. And before we get into how you got into working for Bethesda, what are some of the mod projects that you've been involved with that haven't come to light, or like, shut down, got canceled, this, that, and the other thing, never came to full fruition, that you regret? Like, has there been mods where it's like, this is a really cool idea, I really like this, I hope this goes somewhere, but then it just doesn't? Like, what's the mod that got away for Ropie?
Aside from Coos Bay, I mean, the only project that I regret being on but still wouldn't make, I still wouldn't have made any different decision, was Fallout London. I'm still a little bitter for personal reasons I'm not going to get into, but it's not really gotten away either. I'm still getting to see my friends chugging away at it, and they're coming darn close.
Yeah, they're London's dropping sometime later this year, isn't it? I thought that's what I heard. Maybe I'm incorrect. I thought I saw a release trailer for it, like a release date.
Originally, it was planned for 2024, but some people wanted to get along with their lives and move on because they've been working on it for so long that let's just say the engine's running at 200% right now.
Yeah.
They want to get it out really bad. It might come out in 2023. Okay. I have faith. I mean, a lot of people on there are fantastic. They're really super talented, and there's a good chance.
Okay, yeah. I just couldn't remember off the top, because again, I thought I saw a trailer that said it was coming out this year or something. But like specifically, like, has there been any mods that have started but haven't like actually gone anywhere that you think have really cool concepts? So like comparatively, London has gone somewhere. In fact, it's probably gone farther than any Fallout 4 mod of its size and scale has gotten so far. But as far as mods that had really cool concepts but didn't go anywhere, are there any that you can think of that you specifically look back on with remorse?
I wish I could. In fact, I have a couple of categories on my Discord here with just like pockets and pockets of old projects Discords, but unfortunately, usually when they die, they delete them. I'm sorry if I bump paths with any of you, and you remember me, and I probably remember you, but I don't remember your project.
Hopefully we get a lot of modders or ex-modders in the comments, like, Ropie, how could you forget about Fallout?
Which
What?
was one,
Which one?
I think Fallout Wichita.
Fallout Wichita. Let's go. I was trying to think of the most like remote location in like Idaho or something, like a town nobody's ever heard of that has like 7 people living in it. But I couldn't think of any.
Create it in world space, paint it, the landscape a certain color, and just upload it to Nexus. No level design required.
Right. Yeah. So you have a very long and extensive history in modding. Super awesome. Very cool. I know I keep teasing it. To backtrack a little bit. You said you were just handed a copy of Fallout 3 when and that's how you got by a friend, and that's how you got into modding and stuff. What was it about like the Fallout universe that more so drew you in, because like you can definitely have fun with a game, but like it could not capture you in the sense of like, this is something I want to spend a long time like picking apart and building stuff for. Obviously, not every game you can build stuff for. You can't build mods for certain games. But like with Fallout, especially since the modding tools were available, what kept you there? What kept you hooked into Fallout to make you want to get that involved?
There were actually a number of small factors. Firstly, I really loved the 1950s aesthetic, and Fallout 3 was just, aside from being really grungy these days, it was gorgeous then. My life got sucked into that. Like every day I was spending in Vault 108 or cleaning up the Super Duper Mart. It was just a very fun aesthetic. I really loved it. And just some of the stories, I know Fallout 3 is not really known for its stories, but just all the dumb stuff off on the side quests. And I also really like being able to break into anybody's house and just steal their plates and cutlery.
Gotta love theft. Breaking and entering. Yeah, because Fallout 3 was also my first game. And yeah, it's so interesting because I remember just like every time I played Fallout 3, or maybe like looking back on when I played Fallout 3 compared to like Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 76 and stuff like that, looking back on Fallout 3 specifically, it had a much more dour and just sad kind of feeling to it, like it didn't like I see people all the time like, oh, I wish more Fallout games were more like Fallout New Vegas and like, dark and sad and brooding. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can see strippers and gamble and take your brain out of your head. What are you actually talking about? But then like you look at Fallout 3 and like the atmosphere and the setting and just the world in general just radiated this
there was a special spice to it.
Yeah, it was almost like it was like you could feel the emotional molding, like it actually felt like a good and proper wasteland in a sense.
Building on top of that point right there, one of the best parts about Fallout 3's visual storytelling is there's just enough scrap to where it builds your curiosity on what was this like pre-war.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like obviously like the metro station. The metro station's a really good example. I can't remember if I talked about this in our episode, but I talked with Portawolf, who's another modder that I've had on in a previous episode. And one of the things we talked about with Fallout 3 specifically is that he actually mapped out the metro system and realized that not only does it not match up to what the actual maps in game say it's supposed to match up to, when you actually map out the metro systems themselves based on where they are on the map, they don't even make sense. Like, neither of them make sense. They don't make sense topography wise or cartography wise. None of them make sense.
You wonder how long he was spending working on that. I know Porto's a bit of a nut. Love you, Porto.
Yeah. He must have spent a good healthy afternoon mapping all that out.
That's why he's crazy.
Right. But he makes good stuff. That's why he's making Empire Waste. Only he's crazy enough to take on the Big Apple.
Oh, and he's done a darn good job of it, too. I don't know if you've had the luxury to run through his space yet, but some of his architecture and some of his ideas on just how to sculpt it all are incredible.
Oh, no, yeah.
Any of the other projects.
He's shared with me his current lot a couple times. I've helped him with some story element stuff. I'm gonna be voicing at least 2 characters in his mod. Yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff going on in there. I'm excited to see the whole project come to fruition. But now, finally, how did you get employed at Bethesda? You went from not a Fallout fan to actually, I'm sorry. Again, I have to delay it. You went before Fallout 3, because you said you were just
remember those days.
Yeah, like that's a different life. Before we get into that, I am contractually obligated to ask: have you played Fallout New Vegas, and why is it your favorite Fallout game?
Oh my God, I'm leaving the interview. It's an all right game. It's all right. Storytelling is the best part, but if you're a level designer like me and enjoy like a really cool world space, I'd rather go play Fallout Wichita.
Wichita. Have you tried to mod for Fallout New Vegas, and like is it different from modding for Fallout 3?
Okay, so this is going to bring on a completely different tangent here because it ticks me off so much. I've actually bought people Fallout 4 just to get them to stop modding New Vegas. It's old, guys. It's old. I know you're living in the past. There's more modern technology. And besides the fact, the GEC will literally give you a migraine if you spend more than 3 minutes in it. Modding in Fallout 4 is a magical experience. But stop modding in New Vegas. It's old. It's
outdated.
It's outdated. I would say it's done for, but clearly the fan base refuses to let it go.
Oh no, yeah. But like, is modding for Fallout 3 a lot different than modding for Fallout 4? Because I would imagine it would be very similar because it's the same engine.
First of all, the scripting is a lot different. I modded myself. I accidentally preserved 17-year-old me in Fallout 3. That's a nightmare to come back to occasionally.
Hell yeah.
It's good self-deprecating humor.
Gotta love the cringe.
And that it gives in spades. But it's similar. Just the kits in general. In Fallout 3 New Vegas, a building is just one big solid building, and you've got like 4 of them to choose from. In Fallout 4, you get to build with tiles. You can make a building however big you want, with whatever style you want. You can mix together different architectural elements and make a monstrosity. It's called kit bashing. It's so much fun. It's all I do. It hurts.
Do you feel like, especially as somebody who has been in the Fallout community for so long, do you feel like, I don't know, it's so weird because especially with Fallout 76, it seems like it's drawn in such a lot more of a casual demographic that it's sort of, I don't know, like diluted the fan base, but in a sense that it's kind of calmed people down a little bit. because like before Fallout 76 came out, and even like a little bit after Fallout 76 came out, like fans were like very contentious and like divided. Fallout 4 was to some mediocre at best, and like Fallout 3 was a phantom of a bygone era, and New Vegas was like the pinnacle of Fallout technology.
I mean, that sounds about right. Yeah,
right.
The average Fallout fan's opinion.
Yeah. But then Fallout 76 came out, and because it brought in like a lot more like casual players and like new people to the fan base, it kind of like mellowed the waters a little bit. Obviously, there's still a lot of people with very strong opinions about Fallout 76 and, you know, other Fallout titles, but overall, especially with how just like unabashedly nice the Fallout community has gotten, or the Fallout 76 community specifically, it's changed things, you know.
I mean, maybe that's because the people that play Fallout 76 are the type of people that are willing to give things second chances.
Yeah. What because you've only been working for Bethesda for a little while, so you weren't like there when 76 launched. What were as an insider now, what are your thoughts on Fallout 76 and like how it released, and you know, just that whole moment in time?
I don't think that's really something I'm allowed to speak on too much, even though a lot of it is my opinion. I was really excited. I remember I was waiting all week to watch the announcement trailer. And as soon as it came on, Todd's like, and here's Fallout 76. And then my dad called us all, and he's like, no, we're eating at the table as a family tonight. No.
Like, Dad, no!
Dad, I really wanted to watch this.
I just remember the and maybe it's not just remember, but I remember obviously that whole showcase was awesome, but I just remember specifically that moment when Todd was talking about the that glow in the dark map that you can get, that was like the map of you know, West Virginia, of Appalachian stuff, and he's like, and it glows in the fucking dark. And I'm just sitting there like, Todd Howard said the F word. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. And I don't know why.
He does time to time.
Oh, no, yeah, of course he does. He's Todd Howard. He's the greatest video game man ever. But, like, I don't know. That just, like, really stood out to me. I think I can't imagine it was the first time I heard somebody swear at E3, but, like...
I felt like it.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like it.
But yeah, I don't know. Fallout 76 is just such an interesting game to sort of pick apart and digest. In equal, yeah. But at the same time, in equal spades, so is the frontier. And as much as I both like and dislike talking about the frontier, it is unfortunately a spot in our community's history. You weren't involved with any modding stuff in the frontier, right?
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah. I'm not asking that, like you weren't like associated with the frontier, but more like just like clarification.
I'm the guy that came up with the sex lizard idea, definitely.
Yeah. That was actually Phobos.
You're kidding me.
No, he didn't come up with the lizard idea, but he did write a lot of stuff for the lizard. But it was all stuff that ended up not actually getting implemented into the mod. This is something he talked about in the Atomcast episode that he was on. But he wrote like different dialogue options for each perk, or not each perk, but each special stat. Like, strength, agility, intelligence, stuff like that. But then like none of them actually got put in. So he just like wasted his time doing nothing.
I mean, that happens a lot in modding, to be honest.
Oh no, yeah. Not everything.
I mean, why do you think Cascadia looks so good? Somebody goes and builds something, somebody else comes along 2 years later and greatly improves it. Somebody comes along another couple of years later and completely redoes it.
Yep.
Just pass and polish.
Yeah. But like as a modder, specifically, as somebody who's been working on mods so long and so well that you actually got hired by Bethesda, what was your whole mindset and like thoughts and opinions on the Frontier? Because as much as I sort of dislike talking about the Frontier, everybody likes hearing me talk about the Frontier. So now, passing the buck to you, you got to talk about the Frontier.
I don't want to talk about the Frontier.
Right? Yeah. But we gotta look at the bad so we can compare it to the good.
I do remember when it came out. In fact, I remember I knew one of the voice actors for one of the lizards. He was just handed a script. He's like, "This is weird, but
yeah,
you know what? It's a thing. I can do it. Get my name out there."
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it all came down, I remember every single large project, they all had to make their public announcement, like, "Oh, we're not going to be like the Frontier." And no, I think every single project had a meeting where they went through and fine-tooth combed everything to make sure it wasn't going to be like that. Because I remember like Prill held a meeting and it lasted freaking forever. I remember there was something else, like Prill went and talked to somebody and stood up against the Frontier, and I don't know, it's all kind of fuzzy, to be honest.
Yeah, that whole time was just a fuzzy time to be a Fallout fan.
Yeah.
Do you think that I mean, it's pretty obvious, but the Frontier has obviously had a massive impact on modding in general, in the Fallout community specifically, because of just the state it was released in. Oh
my God! Actually, that reminds me.
What?
When I was on London, we would release a video about anything, absolutely anything, and you go through the comments. We actually made a chart with like percents, because everybody in the comments wants to be funny, right? On top of the list, the number one comment that every other person made was, "It better not be like the Frontier." And the other ones were like, "If I don't get to fight the Queen of England, then it's not London." And
yeah, that was I remember that was a big thing for the Frontier, because, or not the Frontier, for London, because they what did they say? They said that they were only gonna have the Queen in the mod as a ghoul if she was alive by the time the mod came out. But if she died before that, which unfortunately she did, she passed away last year. No, she didn't pass away last year. She passed away earlier this year. So she is not going to be in the game because it's kind of disrespectful. I remember that was kind of a big point for the Frontier. And then when they announced that she wasn't going to be in the game because of the death of the Queen, there was, I personally saw a little bit of pushback and a little bit of criticism about that decision. But like, what was it from, like, if you can talk about it again, because the London is still an ongoing project. Like, what was that all like behind the scenes?
I can't recall. I'm actually pulling up the date right now of when, because I might have been off the project by that point. September 8th, 2022. Yeah, no, I had left Fallout London a long time before that.
Oh no, yeah, it was September 8th. I just remember I was working for Amazon, but it's been a while since I worked for Amazon. So yeah, she did pass away last year. Okay, so you were off the project by that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'd gotten away from it by then.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just about to start working.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, at Bethesda. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Look how that turned out.
I don't
Wow.
want to talk about work again because I can't talk about work.
Right. Yeah.
You know what that's like?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know, and I can't say jack.
Right. Um, maybe perhaps speaking more generally then, um, how do you feel Fallout as a community, as a franchise, is going to evolve and change in the next, coming months, years, 5 decades before Fallout 5 comes out? There's just the relative time of entropy.
I mean, it is a bit tricky.
Yeah.
I get to hear about a lot of different decisions that are made about different games. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's just rumors that are passed through the company. So there's not really any way of knowing for sure. I don't know. And even if I did know, I don't even know if I could really say. It really depends on who's in charge, who's calling the shots, just kind of the creative direction, where it's just going to sell the best.
Well, I don't mean so much as like how is Bethesda going to change Fallout, but like as far as the community in general, the fan base around these games, as games come out, as new content comes out, as new media comes out, like the Amazon series and stuff like that. How do you think it's going to change the community? Do you think the community is going to become more divided, more unified? Do you think there's going to be different things that they're going to unite around, whether it's like specific mod projects, London, Cascadia, Miami? How do you feel, like, how are the waters and how do you feel them changing?
I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I do know that when some of the bigger stuff does start to come out, it's really going to cause a resurgence again. It's just like how modding for 3 in New Vegas started dying before Fallout 4 came out. And as soon as 4 came out, modding on both scales jumped.
Mhm.
In fact, 90% of the modders I know started with 4.
Do you think that we're going to see that same kind of jump when Starfield comes out?
I hope so. Doc Mobius said he's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen his level design, but he is a god amongst the creation kit. I don't care what anybody else says.
What has Doc Mobius worked on?
Project Cathedral, Metropolis, Petruvia. As a matter of fact, Doc's the reason why a lot of the modders are even modding in the first place. This guy's incredible.
I haven't heard about any of these things. You're going to have to shoot me some links after we finish up this interview.
No, it's mouth-wateringly good.
Yeah.
It's beyond anything anybody's ever made.
Yeah, damn. Okay, cool. Good to know that there's plenty of mod projects out there to sink our teeth into. And
no, sorry, Doc, but he kind of went crazy. Well, not crazy. He just decided to stop modding altogether.
Oh, interesting.
He promised me he will come back when Starfield comes out, so I'm holding him to that.
There you go. It's interesting to think about because like Fallout, Skyrim, or Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield are, they're all sister series. Starfield's our older sister. Or sorry, Elder Scrolls is our older sister. Starfield's the little baby that's gonna be coming into the world in a couple months. I don't know. It's interesting to see how things like change and how we like share information from one another, because it kind of feels like for a while Elder Scrolls modding has been feeding off of Fallout modding, and Fallout modding has been feeding off of Elder Scrolls modding. And it feels like whatever sort of modding is going to happen in Starfield, it's going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be feeding off Elder Scrolls and Fallout. and then both of those are going to be feeding off of whatever Starfield puts out into the world. Do you think that with this sort of like triforce of modding, I don't know, like what does that say for just the potential of what could come from Bethesda modding specifically? Because as far as I know, Bethesda as a game developer has made more games that allow for more modding and more creativity and more player input, or community input specifically, than any other brand I can think of, video game franchise anyway. How do you see that changing? Like Starfield comes in, how is that going to change how modding happens?
I don't really think that's a question I'm allowed to answer.
That's fair. To that point, though, this would probably be a good time to bring in our second guest, HippieHolocaust, who Ropie has described as his longtime co-pilot in the modding scene, and if I'm correct, the current project lead on Fallout Coos Bay.
That's correct.
Nice. So, Ropie is we talked a little bit with Ropie about the project inspired by Coos Bay, Oregon. It originally started with him just putting down buildings in the glowing sea in Fallout 4.
Oops.
Yeah. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit more about what we can sort of expect from Fallout Coos Bay? Is it going to be like a new town that's going to show up in Fallout 4? Is it going to be a place we can visit? Is it, as Ropie said, it's based on Coos Bay, Oregon. I can't imagine that we're going all the way to the opposite end of the country for a DLC style story. Is it, what's the skinny? What's the elevator pitch on Fallout Coos Bay?
Well, I think we originally planned for it to be a kind of its own standalone game, and well, that's still the case as far as I know. But
I think it's still pretty much up in the air. It's just to be decided, whatever comes up, if there's like roadblocks. But right now it is its own standalone world space.
Is it?
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Right now it's just kind of fleshing out the story. It seems to me like it'd probably fit better as like its own standalone thing, the new character.
Kind of like,
and make more sense narratively.
Kind of like how like what Fallout London is doing, where you're not the sole survivor. You're, oh gosh, what was the name of the character in London?
Oh, Wayfarer.
Oh, the Wayfarer. That was it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it actually going to be taking place in Coos Bay, Oregon, or is it just like based off of Coos Bay, Oregon, and it's going to be a different location along the East Coast?
No, it'll be on the actual Coos Bay.
Okay.
Way back over on the West Coast.
Nice. And yeah, it's going to be new character, new world space. What sort of like story elements are we expecting? Like Fallout London, your story of the Wayfarer, you're, I guess, escaping a laboratory of sorts and then go on a magical adventure through England. What's the basic concept with Coos Bay, or have you gotten that far yet?
I've had some ideas I've been rolling around. The current idea I haven't quite fleshed out yet is that you would be a smuggler from the NCR who got shipwrecked along the coast, and kind of the general idea of the story is you get involved trying to get a ship to go back home. Well, nothing's quite set in stone yet. That's been kind of the general idea I've been working with in my head. So, hopefully something along those.
Going back home to California?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What sort of like maybe sort of like thematical elements? What sort of story are you looking to tell with the adventures of the aforementioned smuggler?
Oh, I haven't quite nailed down the exact thematics. I've personally been thinking kind of a tradition versus progress theme, but like I said, everything's still kind of up in the air at the moment. It's just kind of a basic idea to work on.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Obviously it's a Fallout game. How many factions are you gonna have? And can I join any of them?
Well, the only two for sure would be the North Bend faction and the Coos Bay faction, and yes, you'll be able to join them both.
Nice. Are you mostly gonna just have like those two factions, or are you going to include a larger collection of options? Is there gonna be is there gonna be a Brotherhood of Steel branch that shows up? Are the NCR gonna be there? Is the Legion there? How similar is this gonna be to Fallout New Vegas?
Well, there's no plans for the Brotherhood or the Legion beyond maybe some references.
Mhm.
As for the NCR, beyond the character's background and maybe a representative or two from the NCR, there wouldn't be really any NCR presence there either. Mostly given to between tactical unimportance of the area, as well as how difficult it would be to get from California, given how most of the roads go along cliffs or through canyons.
Yep.
After
That's
200 years of neglect, yeah, it'd be hard to get there.
Yeah, that's Oregon for you. So it's going to be sort of more like the NCR is going to be kind of playing the same role that the Brotherhood did in Fallout New Vegas, where like they're there a little bit, but they're not really like a major faction. They're a small side faction.
Yeah, effectively, most of their representatives of the NCR would be people who've either ran out as fugitives or a doomed expedition that tried to go up there from the army.
Okay, that sounds
Only a handful.
Yeah. Just to include them in the experience, but this isn't a story about warring factions or NCR imperialism and expansionism or anything like that. It's just they are a part of the world, but they're not the world.
Yeah, and we did toy with that idea a little bit quite a few years ago. Matter of fact, the story has evolved a lot over time. We've gone through, would you say, like 4 or 5 different versions of a main story, and none of them were anything like each other.
Oh, something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we even toyed around with Lovecraft stuff for quite a while.
There you go.
Um,
That's big right now in Fallout.
oh yeah.
What was the like original plan for Coos Bay?
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Musical.
Because this was this was back when it was just like a very small project amongst friends. It was going to be super meta, but eventually, once it became a little bit more public, we worked on. It was very much so rivaling towns, Coos Bay and North Bend, as Hippie had said. We thought about bringing in the Brotherhood of Steel for an Act 2. We thought about the NCR. Yeah, no, it's just changed a lot over time. We're still settling down and figuring out what we want, what's feasible,
What's doable given the oh.
We'll just cut that.
Cut it. That was genius.
A special guest star.
Da, 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 da. That actually segues pretty good into my next question, because I was also going to ask, besides just like what other like how big of an area are you looking to venture in with Coos Bay and North Bend? Is there
Hippie, really.
going to
That's up to Hippie, really. The height map right now, the world space in general is massive. And again, it comes down to scope.
Right now, the current plan, at least for me, is mostly just the whole peninsula area. Maybe some of the beach around, well, on the other side of the bay. But generally, the focus is the peninsula of the area. The bay makes a really good natural border.
Yeah.
So.
So are you gonna? I can't remember how far away is Rockaway Beach from Coos Bay.
Rockaway Beach.
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
Well,
yeah, I can't recall.
Yeah, the whole area starts to kind of blend together when you get a lot closer to the water. It's just like that's just the part where Oregon ends and water begins.
The ocean.
Yeah. On that though, are there? I mean, obviously, besides Coos Bay, are there going to be any? Again, you talking about the size of the map. What sort of like noteworthy locations, noteworthy landmarks, things like that? What are you hoping to include in the mod?
Well, we are including the Tioga building, the largest, tallest building on the Oregon coast,
Nice.
and quite the meme amongst the little community here.
Yeah.
Lighthouse Beach, the lighthouse along the Cape. What was it, Arago Lighthouse?
The McCullough Bridge, too.
Oh, yeah, the McCullough Bridge.
Yeah.
Lots of little landmarks that people from around the area will recognize. Some changed over time, like Macaulay Hospital. It was an old abandoned hospital downtown, but it will have gotten new life in this world. Things like the North Bend Hotel will have life, Pony Village Mall, just all sorts of little things. Like people from the area will go, "Oh, I've been there. I know what it looks like."
Yeah.
And they can go in. They can like, "Hey, I know where I'm at. I know how this dungeon will work."
Yeah. Kind of like I can't remember who it was, but one of the developers that worked on Fallout 4, I think it might have actually been Emil, the head writer. I think he said that his childhood home is actually in Fallout 4. I think
East Boston.
Yeah,
the big yellow one.
Yeah, that's cool. Especially since you're incorporating more things that local people will recognize and see and appreciate. Especially since with like mainline games and some of the larger mods, it's always like they incorporate things that obviously locals will recognize more easily, but as the in and of themselves are also historical landmarks. And like that was kind of something that I felt was missing from like the me and Ropie talked a lot about the frontier in our earlier interview, but one of the things that was missing from the frontier as a native Portlander, and Ropie, I'm sure you can voice similar opinions, was the lack of an OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. That wasn't really there.
Like half the reason you go to Portland.
Yeah, and then
that's the reason anyone in Oregon goes.
Exactly, and then was ground control in the frontier? I can't remember if it was.
Sure. Did they have
yeah.
It was
ground control is in.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was, but besides OMSI not being in there, which was like what the most egregious thing to me anyway, is that they had the mall, like the mall in downtown, the Rose Center, but they didn't have the ice rink in there.
Oh, I didn't even know they had that location in.
I never found that.
Triangulate it all, pinpoint where stuff is at. And...
It's I think it's one of the locations you go to for a quest for the NCR. I think. Yeah. It just explains why you guys never found it. Like nobody playing that quest line is a fate worse than death. But yeah, I if I remember correctly, the mall is there when you go into it, and there's no ice rink, and it's like that's the whole reason the mall exists. But yeah, more so, it's something that locals will see and recognize or notice that it's not there, and that's something that it sounds like you guys are really focusing on with your mod, creating the small things that the locals and people who have been there will see and will notice and will say, "Hey, that's cool."
We actually have a like a tier list for buildings and houses. So the first stage is, like Hippie said, the Tioga building. That's like a stage one. That is a local landmark. We're going to get it as close to looking like the real one as we can. But a stage two is like, I don't know, picture your neighborhood. And there's probably like one or two really memorable houses there where there's like there's an old shop at the end corner. We try to get those in. Those are like a stage two building. And they just have to look pretty much like it. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be great. It's just, hey, it's that one right there.
Yeah.
And then the stage three is just like the endless rows of houses or forgettable buildings. Those are stage three. You just kind of build whatever you want. They actually get cut a lot of the time too.
That makes sense. They're the ancillary stuff that would be nice to include, but if it's not included, there's other more important stuff to focus on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hippie. This is something I asked of Ropie before. He said that he got into the modding scene because a friend just gave him a copy of Fallout 3 and the GECK, and then he just fell head over heels straight into it like a boulder rolling down a hill. Just unstoppable momentum.
Window.
Yeah. What was the story for you? How did you get involved with first and foremost Fallout, and then how did you go from a Fallout fan to a modder?
Well, when Fallout 3 originally released, I was still in middle school, and I had a friend who was really big into Fallout, and I was really big into Elder Scrolls. And he ended up showing me the game one day when we had detention. So I am seeing that it was made by the same people who made Oblivion. And I ended up trading my copy of Oblivion with his copy of Fallout 3 to play, and I was pretty much just hooked from there. I mean, if you like Elder Scrolls, you'll more than likely like Fallout, and vice versa. As for the modding, I had played with the creation kit for Skyrim some, as until 2013. I think I generally played on console, but I switched over to PC just for the mods, and I never really did much with the Skyrim creation kit. However, 2019, when girlfriend saw a post on Facebook about new Fallout game being made, and I looked into it, and it was a Fallout in Coos Bay. And I decided, well, I've got some experience doing level design in other engines. I play with the creation kit some. Figure I can probably help out a little bit, and well, the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, and that was Coos Bay was your first introduction into more proper scale modding for Fallout.
Yeah, a lot more than just the stuff you download on the Nexus.
Yeah.
Actually getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, that's really cool. You guys both started with a similar sort of backstory and started off with the same sort of first project and went on from there. That's really cool. You got very similar stories that converged into a singular path, it seems.
Oh yeah, it's funny the doors life will take you when they open.
Right.
Also, I wouldn't have seen something like this happening 5 years ago. I probably would have laughed if you told me the story was going to lead to.
But like on that, where did it lead from there? We talked with Ropie, and he said that from there he's worked on several other modding projects. He's worked on he's worked on Fallout.
To Nashville next.
Which one?
Oh, we both started working on Fallout Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah,
we both started working on Nashville together.
Yeah, Wakazaki ended up PMing me one day asking, "Oh, you want to help me with the project?" I'm sure a lot of the people who've been in the community long enough will know who Wakazaki is. But I started looking at the concepts like, yeah, sure, why not? And I ended up talking to Ropie about it one day. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll hang out. And about a year we were on that project before it kind of died.
Yeah.
To lack of better terms, but
yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It's gone from well, it was Nashville, now it's Music City, and now it seems like it's going to be part of a larger thing. What is it? Fallout Wasteland, which, according to the last update it made, or that was made in the Fallout Music City channel, is going to be something, it sounds like, similar to Skyrim Beyond, which, if I remember correctly, is supposed to be a larger mod, like a massive mod project where it's supposed to be like you're going to be able to go to different territories and areas across Tamriel, sort of similar to the Elder Scrolls Online, but like a mod for Skyrim.
yeah, I saw into it, but I haven't seen any real work done besides just like throwing out concepts and like fan fiction. So I'm not sure what's going to go on with it from there, but for effective purposes, I'm just going to say it's dead, just because unfortunately the reality is usually if they look dead, they're probably dead and they'll probably stay dead.
Yeah. Do you think, because like the Frontier's kind of gone through a similar thing, the rework mod the rework project closed up shop back in February, and they've more so shaped the original Frontier Discord server has turned into more of a general purpose mod, but I've heard that they're going to be doing smaller mods called like Rose City Stories or something like that, which I don't know if they're going to be standalone mods that are going to be taking place in Portland, or if they're going to be like sort of add-ons to the Frontier, little DLCs for DLCs, as it were. Do you think that modding projects can sort of exist like that, as like a part of a larger picture, kind of like what happened with the Frontier, where it was originally separate mods that then became one mod? Or like, do you think that could work in sort of a similar sort of way it seems to be working for Skyrim Beyond? Or do you think it's like, and this is like for either of you, this is just like a general question, but like, do you think it's like, do you think it could work? Do you think it's overly ambitious? What's sort of the general thought and general ideas and vibes around that as such experienced modders like yourself?
Personally, I think that such thing can be too ambitious, but if it's like centered around like one location, how like the Frontier ended up being all settled around Portland, it can be doable. You need kind of like a tighter, concise concept, like an area, and then all the work can merge together. But all these projects require people who are well versed in the creation kit.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't think if you don't have people who are adept with the creation kit, something like that would be viable at all.
What do you think, Ropie?
To be honest, we've been around for almost 7 years. We've seen so many projects come and go over the years. I think I said earlier, oftentimes, yeah, there's, like Hippie said, very ambitious, and they're in over their heads. I mean, I'm not saying don't start a mod project, because sometimes it does work.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the big ones. It's all about getting the team and keeping the team together and collecting enough people that, like Hippie said, they know what they're doing. They've got the tool sets. They know how to make it work, and they're willing to put it in for the long run. Because this isn't just like something you can do in a couple of weeks, unless you're Doc Mobius.
Yeah.
This usually takes a couple of years.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think Doc's the only one who would be able to get it done within a year, something of this size.
So, like, what other Hippie specifically, have you worked on any other projects that Ropie hasn't been a part of? I'm sorry, I can't recall off the top of my head. Yes, you are currently working with London, and Ropie is no longer working with Fallout London. Have there been any other like side projects or anything like that that you've worked on without him, or have you two been mostly like a dual package ever since the boys got together?
Well, mostly just been the dual package. I haven't worked on anything specifically Ropie hasn't touched on. I usually just, at best, might hang around, throw a little advice to somebody, but as for work, I haven't really volunteered out much of my time.
It makes sense. Once you get a good thing going, it's best not to ignore it.
Yeah. And work, girlfriend, all that stuff, it really eats up your time. So
The life,
best
as
to
it
get,
were.
yeah, best just focus on one thing at a time when you can, rather than just spread yourself too thin and then nothing gets done.
Yeah. What would you guys like Coos Bay to become? Like, it feels like sometimes certain modders, as Hippie, as you sort of alluded to, can kind of like their eyes are too big for their stomachs, right? They have good ideas, they have great ideas. They find the people, they put everything together, but it still doesn't turn out quite as good as they would have wanted it to, or they just aren't able to finish it with the people who are on board. Life goes on, people change, things happen, people move on, stuff like that. But as far as how big you want your project to be, what are you aiming for? Are you aiming for like something a little bit smaller, something kind of like Far Harbor, or are you like shooting to be the next like New California or something like that?
Me personally, I'd be happy with something a little bit smaller than Fallout 4. Around that, kind of like something you could put in a decent amount of time to.
Mhm.
And I'm well aware that I'm not going to be able to necessarily get the same team put out the same size as Fallout 4. But if I can reach around that size, I'd be perfectly happy.
Okay.
And luckily we do have we've been around so many other very talented and experienced people. Like the other modders list you can see here on the Discord, we've got people from Cascadia, London, Miami, Empire Waste, all sorts from just all over the place. And they can occasionally pitch in and give resources. Like Flen just came in, what was it, last week, and he gave us a large set of new windows.
Mm.
I don't think I was there for that.
I did a little bargaining deal.
Fair enough.
He altered the deal.
Gets nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing but a thank you.
And even then, he's lucky.
No,
that was actually something that had popped into my mind because Cascadia is taking place in Vancouver, right? Washington, or sorry, Seattle. Seattle. Yeah. Is there any sort of, because like New California and the frontier are interesting because if I remember correctly, and you guys are the insiders, so you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. They sort of shared a couple of developers, and there was actually a reference to the frontier in not one of the endings, in a couple of the endings for Fallout New California. So there was a little bit of cooperation there. I don't think there was any references to New California in the frontier, but man can only handle so much in the frontier. Is there, as you said, you have at least one member of the Frontiers, or sorry, of Cascadia's development team here in the server, and you said he's helping you out a little bit, sharing resources and stuff. A rising tide raises all ships kind of situation. Is there going to be any sort of cross pollination or cooperation as far as story and world building between Cascadia and Coos Bay, like references, stuff like that, a shared character, how intertwined or not intertwined?
The Tioga, as a matter of fact, has kind of become a little bit of an Easter egg in some of the other projects. It's graced a couple of projects. It's normally a little bit more hidden. You got to know what you're looking for. But the other projects, we all do tend to reference each other from time to time, whether that be like a little name drop or something in a note. But yeah, no, it is really nice. I think Hippie has more to say on that too.
No, actually, I think you just about hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. So more like passing familiarities as opposed to direct cooperation. Like you're aware of each other's existence, but you're not like trying to reference events in across mods or anything like that.
Oh, we'll probably mention that from time to time. Like, hey, why is there so much snow up in Portland? It sounds like a big ruckus up there right now.
Yeah.
Or mention something going on in Vegas, or I don't know, just little things.
Yeah. Make the larger world available, or acknowledge the wider fan modding sphere out there. That makes sense. Do you think that there's going to be a point in Fallout modding, specifically with so many large-scale development projects, Cascadia, excuse me, Cascadia, Nuevo Mexico, Coos Bay, this, that, and the other thing. Do you think there's going to be a point where, maybe not a point, but a larger sort of shared semi-canon understanding of what a Fallout community world looks like and a Fallout mainline community world looks like? So for example, Sim Settlements 2 in Fallout New Vegas. I've heard a lot of people, myself included, because I really enjoy the mod, but a lot of people are sort of propping that up as like, I don't want to say one of, but like a very, very good example of what a good Fallout mod looks like a good Fallout 4 mod looks like, however you want to classify it. And some are even saying like, this is a canon thing. Obviously it's not canon because Bethesda didn't make it. But do you think we're starting to move into an era, especially with New California referencing the frontier, you guys sharing a little bit of cross-pollination with Cascadia? Are we starting to move into an era of Fallout modding where we are becoming more aware of other big projects that are out there, and besides just working with each other on each project, helping us out, sharing windows, stuff like that? Do you think we're starting to become more aware of other projects and starting to form our own community canon as it relates to the modding scene specifically?
I personally think it really just depends on how well each project gets along and how many members they share and whatnot. Obviously, projects that don't really care much for each other and don't share any members probably aren't going to leave any references to one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that'll be interesting to see develop over time. But for at least what I can see in the foreseeable future, I think it really just depends on how well the projects get along and, like I said, how many they share.
That makes sense. I asked Ropie a very similar question, but obviously you two have worked on a whole lot of mod projects over the years. For you specifically, Hippie, has there been a mod project that you've been a part of that you thought was really cool, really interesting, but like never fully developed into anything beyond just a neat concept or a little bit of work being done. The one that got away kind of mod. Has there been anything like that for you guys?
Music City, we had a bunch of concepts in. Really, it's just a lot of potential there. We could have went down and just floundered out, really.
Yeah, not enough enthusiasm or too much to be done.
That's for sure.
A lot of infighting, a lot of people who just weren't able to realize the vision. Leadership was really kind of, I don't know what's a good word, wishy-washy or
Fractured.
apathetic, I guess.
Yeah. As people who have been a part of a lot of different mod projects like that, does that seem like a similar, like, repeating pattern? We obviously saw with the Frontier, and I think, if I remember, a little bit with New California. New California is definitely I think kind of faded from public memory a little bit, but from what I remember, there was a little bit of tension there with the mod development team, and then like the latter half, it was finished by a lot less people than originally started on the project. But is that something that you guys have seen a lot of cohesion, or coarseness as far as mod projects go? A little more butting of heads instead of unification of ideas. Is that something you guys have seen across a noteworthy amount of projects?
It is fairly common. I mean, creative differences are just kind of inevitable. I suppose every project has a little bit of a rocky spot over here and there. Not everybody's always going to get along. Sometimes just personalities clash, ideas clash, and it happens. I mean, sometimes if it's a smaller team, then yeah, the project could fall apart. But some of the bigger teams, they get by and then they regrow.
Do you think that it's mostly that creative differences kind of thing that usually leads to a mod, petering out, releasing and not being as good as it probably could? Do you think, like, is that a major factor, just like the creative difference, or is there something else?
I'd rather not get into that.
That's fair. Do you think that when it comes to a mod size, is it usually smaller, more unified ideas that create better mods, or is it larger groups that are able to output and create larger things that usually work the best, like put out the best project or have the best chance at actually crossing that finish line? Because I myself, I've been keeping my eye on a bunch of different projects over the years, and yeah, just like you, I've seen a number of them just kind of fizzle out because they had a good concept, but not a whole lot to keep the engine going. Is there like an ideal size for putting out, like, actually being able to complete a project? Is it big? Is it small? What are we looking at here?
I personally just think it depends on the passion, the talent behind the project, really. I mean, one guy who just kind of on it isn't really going to produce much, and if it ever does release, it's not going to be good, versus 30 really passionate, talented people behind a really big mod. It will come out eventually and should be pretty good.
Yeah.
The numbers do also really help too. I mean, think about like a restaurant. You've got 30 people in there, maybe 15, 20 of them are actually putting in the work, because there's a couple of them that still kind of sit in the background, not really doing a whole lot, just kind of piggybacking off of it. They don't often stay around for a long time. Sometimes they do. The camaraderie definitely helps though too. I know with Fallout London, we were in chat every single day, all day long. Pro's a very charismatic person, so he was good at like holding everybody's attention, keeping everybody in there, and that was one of the biggest lifebloods of that project.
Obviously, we've talked about a lot of different mod projects over the course of this interview. Ropie has actually made me aware of a couple of projects that I didn't know about, and that's very interesting because I was almost 100% sure that I knew about practically every mod project under the sun, from Alaska to Hawaii to Nuevo Mexico to Liberty Hell, Motor City. Like there's so many out there.
Oh man, Hippie, do you remember there was actually 3 different Hawaii projects all at the same time, and they all died about the same time too?
Oh,
I think was it Ashfall's still around?
yeah,
It actually has well design.
Yeah, Ashfall is still an active mod project. I do remember there was at least one other Hawaii-based mod. I think it was just called Fallout Hawaii, but yeah, as far as I know, that's no longer a thing.
They still seem active, but I haven't seen anything since they first announced they were a thing.
Interesting.
My general rule of thumb with a lot of these newer upstarts is whether or not they have level design.
Yeah.
If there's no level design, I don't really think there's a project.
Yeah. It's more just creative storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with that, because of all the mods that are currently out there in development, and more stuff that is continuing to be brought to light, like Fallout Odyssey, what is a project that you guys are looking forward to? Whether it be, like individually, as a tag team. I guess part of that question is asking, like, do you guys think as a hive mind? Do you have your own separate thoughts? How does all that work?
I'm looking forward to really all the big 3 for Fallout 4. I mean, I'm on London, so it's kind of hard not to get excited when I'm well into what's going on. And from what I've seen of Miami and Cascada, it both looks really cool. Yeah. I'm personally a bit more biased towards Cascada, given, well, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I've been to Seattle numerous times. It's always neat to go explore the city. Yeah. So seeing it all would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'm
Vault 13 is one too. They're partnered with London, the Fallout 1 remake. And for Skyrim, just one I've been keeping a bit of an eye on is I'm just drawing a blank on it now. Basically, it's where your character's dead and you go through all the realms of the Daedra. Can't remember the name at the moment, but
it's the Skyrim project where you're dead. That's funny. That does sound really cool though. Kind of like the I forget the name of the quest because I haven't played Skyrim in forever, but like the last one where you actually go to the oh gosh, what was it? The Hall of Champions, where you go where God, what was the
Sovereign Guard?
Yeah, you actually go to Sovereign Guard and fight Alduin.
Yeah, I remember that one. Apotheosis was the name of the Skyrim one, though. Just came to me.
Nice. That's really cool. I mean, Skyrim modding has been going on ever since Skyrim released, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that can actually stop them from modding.
I think the only way you're going to kill Skyrim modding at this point is Elder Scrolls 6, which...
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, that's going to be the same when Fallout 5 comes out. Fallout 5 comes out, nobody's going to mod for Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4. It's all just like...
Say that now.
New project.
Stop modding Fallout 4, but there will always be people modding New Vegas, for God's sake.
There probably will. By that time, we'll probably have somebody will have rewritten the source code. Like, handwritten it, and then just, like, mailed it to somebody. Like, we know the source code. We figured it out. Why do you guys mod? Why do you why do you create? What is the thing that emboldens you to get up and empowers you to make something?
Honestly, for me, it's just fun. It's kind of like playing video games, but once you've done beating it, you actually have something to show for it. You created something. I mean, what better feeling is there having fun and having something to show for it?
It's all I know how to do.
Todd Howard said I'm okay at it, so I guess I figured something out, right?
Exactly. Puts food on my table.
Right. The obviously we've talked both in this segment of the interview and the previous segment of the interview. There's a lot of mods for Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Starfield's coming up, so there's undoubtedly going to be a lot of mods for that. There's a lot of mods for Skyrim, our sister series. Once Fallout 5 comes out and you can literally make mods just by thinking it, there's gonna be it's all gonna be AI and voice commands and stuff. You just enter in a text prompt and then it just makes the mod for you.
None of it.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting thing. I would imagine that you guys have seen the new stuff, or the AI stuff that has been involved in creating Fallout mod, specifically the AI voice actor stuff. I think I remember seeing an article about that said that some people are questioning on whether or not that's going to actually be like legal, or whether that can lead to some issues down the line with, like, voice actor consent, stuff like that. Especially since that's like the newest thing in Fallout modding, or in modding in general. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that's going to be something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of in future mods, or do you think that there's going to be some, is it a sign of things to come, or is it just a flash in the pan trend?
I personally think it's definitely going to develop and continue. Things like creative things like art and voice acting, I can see legally changing over the years with consent and copyright. However, for more technical things like scripting and whatnot, it's just another useful tool for the community and everybody at large, rather than have 10 guys pour over some script to figure out why the quest breaks. When you pick up the shotgun from the dead raider, you can just feed it into the machine and have it figure it out for you.
Yeah.
I can see it developing a very good technical tool, but as for actual creative work, I don't see it replacing good old-fashioned flesh and blood.
I think Tyler found a Patchwork Professor. He was using one of those AI softwares the other day, and he realized that if he asked it the right question, it actually understood how to write Gamebryo code. And in fact, he ended up punching in the right stuff and created a completely custom code and was able to copy and paste it into the CK, and it worked perfectly.
Wow.
It was...
Sounds like the do anything now prompts, where you can just basically have it break its own programming.
Yep.
Do you think that well, I mean, Hippie, you kind of made it pretty clear your thoughts on it. You think that AI is going to be a magnificent boon for modding on, like, a technical standpoint. Do you think it's, I mean, I think it's not really a question on whether or not it's going to get to the point where there's going to be AI tools that are going to make modding easier. But at that point, especially with how we've seen modding change from, like, New Vegas to Fallout 4, do you think that that's necessarily, I mean, obviously from a technical standpoint, it's a good thing, but that sort of ease of access, do you think that's going to open up the floodgates into just more stuff like the Frontier getting put out there, or do you think it's going to be a situation where like the wheat is going to get separated from the chaff, and we're going to be able to easily distinguish like the bad mods from the good mods, and the good mods will rise and the bad mods will just like, you know, like be there but not something that's as popular? Or is it going to be like a situation where the bad mods get a whole lot of attention because of insert factor X here? How do you see all that shaking out?
Really, when all the mods are on an even playing field in terms of scripting and technical whatnots, creativity, the quality of your writing, your level of design, your voice acting is really going to be what sets them apart. So the good mods, I think, are going to rise even higher because not only are they bug free or less bugs, but they'll have their creative work shine through, whereas the mods less so and will probably fall a bit more to the sideline. So I think overall, probably wouldn't change too much from how it is now. The really exceptional, big creative mods will be really well known. While some of the stuff that's just kind of done for kill a few hours will fall by the wayside.
What do you think, Ropie?
I pretty much agree with that.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head.
Okay, that makes sense. I continue to be absolutely floored by the stuff that that AI is able to do, and how quickly it's advanced in just like the gosh, not even a year since things like Chat GPT and Dolly and AI art projects and stuff like that, since that stuff has come out. And it's just amazing what it's been able to do and what has been able to come out of it in that short period of time. Going forward, as both right now and when AI and stuff like that eventually just replaces all of the gets smart enough to replace everybody in the modding community and is able to just turn out a mega mod that takes place in Salt Lake City in like 3 days with 7 hours of quest contents, 9 different factions we can join, 6 trillion different guns. What would you recommend for the people who right now want to get into modding and who later on down the line, when AI eventually makes it a whole lot easier, what sort of advice would you have for people who want to A, make mods, and B, become involved in whatever form large scale modding projects take in the near future to the not as near future?
Best piece of advice I can think of is creation kit's free with your copy. There's no reason not to download it. Just start playing around in it. Make a house, make a building, do whatever, learn the ins and outs. At the end of the day, all these projects need creation kit level designers. And once you get in there and you start figuring out what does and doesn't work, you're only going to get better. And once you get better, you'll get attention in the community. So just hop in there and start working.
Exactly. It's all about having fun anyways. It's about your passion in it. And if you want to create a video game, then I mean, hell, it's right there. Create a video game. It's fun as hell. We can attest to it. And I dare say it's almost limitless what you can do in the CK too.
Hippie, you specifically talked about like when it comes to the ease of access when it comes to AI generated or rather AI assisted mods and stuff like that. The big difference is going to be the level of creativity that gets put into it, to sort of not really push back against what you're promoting, because what you're promoting, people getting involved and just getting in there and tinkering with it and having fun with the creation kit and such. To challenge that in a sense, You alluded, or maybe more so directly said, that the big thing that's going to separate just the average mods from the exceptional mods when creating a mod is just like, snap of the fingers easy, is going to be creativity. Obviously, at the current juncture we're at, getting in and just understanding how the creation engine works and being able to build mods for it. The technical aspect, that's obvious. That's what the standard is right now. You need to learn how everything works. But when we get to a point, if we do actually get to the point where a lot of that is made stupidly easy by AI, isn't that creativity going to be something that is going to be all the more important? And if so, how do you grow and foster creativity? Obviously, you can grow your skills with tinkering and working around in the creation engine and making mods and stuff. But as far as the creativity and the ability to be inspired to create and to create new things that you normally wouldn't think of, how do you do that? Where does that come from? What sort of advice would you have for people to be creative, not only from a technical aspect, because again, technically you can learn how to build anything, but knowing what to build and how to build it, not so much physically, but more so in a sensory concept, the environment, the feeling of a location. How do you how do you go about improving that skill?
For me, I've traveled a fair bit in my time across the United States. So a lot of the stuff I do is often bleeds through from places I've been. I've had bars I've been to out in Reno come into my level design. I've been to New York, had buildings bleed into that. Just go out, see things. I mean, everything's different. No two buildings are ever going to be the same, so you can look at them, pay attention to how they're made, and you'll start to get the ideas forming in your head. And, I wonder what this building would look like, if it was a ghoul nest, or what would it look like if it had fallen apart and people have been trying to rebuild it with what was on hand. Generally, it's just seeing something and how would it look if it was like this? And how would it look if it was like that? That's generally how I end up going about looking at things.
And sometimes that whole bit right there doesn't really shut off either. Like when you're walking through a different city, you're looking at all the architecture, your brain's saying, what tiles, what pieces, what assets would I need to create this? And yeah, I mean, the destruction stuff. You need to see Hippie's destruction abilities. It's insane. But yeah, no, you just draw inspiration from life and you keep playing around with the kits, see what works, and just have fun with it. That's the important part.
What are you guys excited for? Like the next thing, the next big thing. What is that, and why are you excited for it?
Ready to go to bed. I've been up since 3.
Only 3.
Bro, same.
Me personally, I have a trip to Europe in September, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Nice. Where you going?
Zurich, Switzerland.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Oh yeah, expensive but fun.
Oh yeah. My housemate actually just told me that he and his fiance won a trip to the Caribbeans and at a wedding raffle here in Portland. So that's exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Be hot too.
Oh yeah. They're gonna try to see if they can finagle some stuff. Maybe go to Italy instead of the Caribbeans. But either way, that's fun. That's a good time. What sort of advice would you have, or maybe not advice, but what is something that you would maybe point to as being something that you would recommend or encourage people to focus on in order to live a good, fulfilling life, no matter whether it's modding, whether it's writing, storytelling, Just in general, what is the key to leading a good life?
Yeah, take chances. You're only young a short time. Life, you only get one. Get yourself out there, do new things, take a chance. I mean, you're never going to win if you never try.
And the best part about an opportunity is it can change your entire life in about 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're shocked where you go when you just, hey, why not? I'll give it a shot.
Take, what is it? What's the quote? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Precisely.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Ropie and HippieHolocaust, both the former and current developers of Fallout 4 Coos Bay. As always, if you enjoyed this episode of the Atomcast, the best way you can show your support is by subscribing to our Patreon, as your monthly contribution will go towards improving the quality of transmission, as well as helping to decrease the time between uploads. Until next time, I thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all out there in the wasteland.